Welcome to Seniority Authority, the podcast where I track down experts to answer your questions on aging. I'm your host, Kathleen Toomey. Let's get smarter about growing older. Do you ever feel burdened by too much stuff? Raise your hand. I know I do. Can you imagine what your home might look like with less things crammed into drawers, shelves, boxes, attics? What effect would that have on lightening up your home, your mind, and even your life? If you're curious about how to start liberating, but possibly scary journey, stay tuned. Today's guest has spent literally years of his professional life guiding people who are trapped by their stuff. There is almost nothing he hasn't seen, and today he's ready to share some of his hard-earned lessons to help you begin. Thanks to our show sponsor, the Riverwoods Group, Northern New England's largest family of not-for-profit continuing care retirement communities, where independent, active adults find purpose, community, and peace of mind. Visit us at riverwoodsgroup.org. Now, let's hear from today's guest. Welcome to Seniority Authority. I'm your host, Kathleen Toomey. Today's guest is Matt Paxton. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited. For those of you who may be familiar with Matt Paxton, he's a nationally recognized television host, downsizing expert, speaker, author, podcaster, and entrepreneur. Host of Legacy List with Matt Paxton on public television and former extreme cleaning expert on Hoarders. Matt is a relentless advocate for those trying to sort through the clutter to find their new life. His latest book, which is terrific, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff, Declutter, Downsize, and Move Forward with Your Life, showcases 9 steps to downsizing and decluttering your home in order to change your life. Matt, I am so excited to have you here. You've seen pretty much everything that life has to throw at us.
Yeah, I think I have. And then something new will show up and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen that before.
So tell us, how did you get started in this role, in this journey? A lot of people have never heard of professional downsizers.
Yeah, so it is a journey. I love that word. I really would like to say I'm a caregiver is really what I am. I just happen to do it with your stuff. And it's taken me 25 years I've been doing this to really kind of wrap my head around that. But when I was 24, I'm 49 now. When I was 24, my dad, my stepdad, and both my grandfathers all passed away same year.
Oh my gosh.
It was like 18 months. And I had to clean up all 4 of their houses. I was a very immature young boy. I did not have a job. I was in between opportunities, as they say. And I started cleaning out my dad's house. And it was very emotional and very physical. And it was really hard. And my grandfather had always said, if something sucks, you do it as a job because other people will pay you to do it because they don't want to do it. And man, that was an experience that really sucked. And then I had to do my grandfather's house, right? And there was no book to tell us how to do it. There's no way to, you were dealing with emotions of loss and grief and then reliving these incredible memories. And then like physically, do I take it to the dump? Do I sell it? It was just so confusing. I didn't know what to do. Well, I did my dad's house. Then I did my grandfather's farm in Colorado. And then I did another house and I helped my mom get through my stepfather's suits after he passed away with my mom. My poor mother was paralyzed with his closet. And,
my God.
went through his nice suit, all his suits that I watched him wear, and it was just by the 4th house, I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And I was in my head, I was like, this is what my grandfather was talking about. This is a business.
Interesting.
Right? And then an old lady at church said, I heard what you did with those houses. Will you come do my house? My husband's passed away and I need help. And I was like, well, this isn't really a job. And she's like, I think it is. I'm going to give you money if you'll come do it. And then I'm like, okay, you're right. And so by the end of the summer, that was my full-time job. And that was 25 years ago. And here we go. I'm still doing it. And I just love it. I mean, I love the stories. I love the emotions, all the things that are challenging about it. If you learn how to kind of pivot and really embrace it, it actually becomes an amazing experience. And that's what I now get really passionate about. I love my job. I get to help people really put a flag in the ground and say, this person was here. Mm-hmm. Like, I loved this woman. I loved this man. And here's what I remember about them. And let's share that story with the world. And to me, that's what cleaning out your house is about. It's not about like a bunch of paper.
So you did this as a 24-year-old, but then you started the Hoarders television show. Did you have any idea what you were in for then?
No, I had no clue. I love this story. I mean, I was so broke. I was cleaning out old houses, and I knew I was helping my grandparents' friends and ladies from church. I would do that with the downsizing. But we didn't, this is 20 plus years ago, we didn't know the words downsizing and hoarding clean. They didn't exist. No. You know, everybody was a pack rat back then.
Exactly.
And remember, this is 25 years ago. So the clients I was helping, the first question I would ask them is, what did you do during the war? Because these were all the last kids of the Depression. They were the kids that, you know, they were 18 during the war.
The greatest generation.
The greatest generation. And so I now realize how special that was. I mean, I got to spend a week with a lady that escaped a concentration camp.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, a week, one-on-one in her attic. I saw her tattoo. I remember, and I said, is it appropriate for me to ask? And she's like, yeah. I said, what's the biggest memory? She goes, we were actually in a box. We were in like a steel container. And she goes, and then the door opened, and she goes, and an American soldier came around the corner. And she goes, I can see his face today. She goes, if I saw him, I would know his face today. I'm a 26, 27-year-old kid hearing these stories. But for me, that was normal because I got to visit every day with the greatest. I mean, I did 10 years of that. And she says, I remember being on the boat coming home. And she was coming to America, and I saw the Statue of Liberty. She goes, that's when I knew I was safe.
Oh my God.
I didn't know I was safe until then. So I'm cleaning out her attic with her. So it was really an amazing, special journey to be able to do that. So I would do that during the week, and then I was becoming a real business. And so I started picking up hoarded houses. Everyone knows a hoarder. It's 5% of the country. So everybody knows one. And we didn't know, no one in the world really knew what hoarding was yet at the time. And I had a kid that worked for me. He was at VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, in the film department. And I'll never forget, he came in one day and he's like, hey, I'm going to film this stuff that we do. Again, this was 20 years ago. And he's like, there's this new thing called YouTube. And he's like, apparently people will watch videos. And I'm like, that sounds strange, but okay, whatever, man. And so he put a video up of us cleaning houses. And within a week, somebody called me. They're like, we have a TV show. Do you want to come on it? And I was like, I mean, okay. But I did it because I wanted someone to write a newspaper article about it.
Sure. So you get a little publicity.
I'd get some publicity. Think of the irony here. I did TV for a newspaper article because my client read the newspaper every day. Yeah. My client went to the obituaries every morning. That's the first thing they did. They go to the obituaries, and then they would read the news. And so I just wanted to get in the local paper because I knew that would get me more cleanouts. And so I did this show. And
how ironic that you did the show just to get an article.
I know, right? But the funny thing is, I actually didn't have enough money to pay my phone bill that month when Hoarders came out. I was so broke. I had not paid my bill, and I knew I was going to be on TV that night. And I called the phone company and I said, guys, I need my phone to ring. I can't pay you. And I'll never forget. The guy was like, well, I can't help you. I go, do you have a mom? He goes, what do you mean? And I go, my mom has had no reason to be proud of me for the last 10 years. Oh. And I go, I'm going to be on TV tonight. And I go, I really need her to be able to call me. And the guy got really quiet. He goes, I got a mom. He goes, I hear you. And he goes, I'll let your phone ring, but I won't. You can't dial out. You can only receive calls. And I mean, swear to God, phone rings. And the phone never stopped ringing. I mean, it's been 20 plus years, almost 20 years. And I was on the Tonight Show like 3 months later.
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy. And it's not because of me. It's because our clients are fascinating. And so I always say I'm like the luckiest guy in the world. I mean, the people I get to help, now I ask, did you go to Woodstock? And so it's either did you go to Woodstock or did you go
I like that. Right? So you have these signature questions.
That's the first question I ask, right? But when you do that, you really get to start to find stuff out. And that's what I get to do. And so it's regardless if it's hoarders or not. But I love that I have both because I found out that hoarders are fascinating people. Like they're brilliant. Really, really smart.
You said that 5% of our population are hoarders. And
5% struggle. Yeah.
how do you define for our listeners, how do they know if they're a hoarder?
So hoarding is really defined as like a mental disorder that quantifies holding on to a significant amount of possessions.
Okay.
That's like the technical textbook definition. But what's going on is something bad has happened in their life, and they're looking for their happiness and self-worth in stuff. Some people, if they're depressed, they'll look for it, or trauma is what causes hoarding, right? It's always trauma. But some of us might do it with alcoholism, some of them might do it with drugs, some of them might do gambling. For our hoarders, they do it with hoarding. They do it with stuff. And that we're all looking for the same thing. We're looking for positivity and self-worth out of something. Now, here's the difference. Hoarders are incredibly smart. And so their brains are bigger than ours. I mean, like I always compare it to like a spreadsheet in Google Sheets. All right. Google Sheets only has like 100 rows or columns.
Cells,
right?
yeah.
Excel has like 65,000. Right? A hoarder is Excel.
Wow.
You and I are Google Sheets. Right? So a hoarder, they'll say to you like, man, they really believe they can use all this stuff. Well, their brain actually has enough space to believe that it can. Yeah. And ours does not. You and I do not. We're normal. We're pretty simple. But a hoarder actually believes they can use all those things. And math and time has proven in their life that they can.
Okay.
Like I had one hoarder, and this is a really important story. I was helping her, and she had been a translator at the UN in the 70s. And so she would hand correct grammar in between languages, and then they would shuffle it off to the delegates. And so it would get translated right on the fly. And she had the same book in about 10 different languages. And I remember I was cleaning the house and I said, why do we have the same book? It was like Huck Finn or something. I was like, why do we have this in Russian? She goes, well, sometimes a poem is just better in Russian.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
That's incredible.
I was like, this woman is a different level smart, because she just enjoyed a book in a different language because it was better. And then we got this whole kind of, she's like, I mean, wouldn't you rather read this person in French than in English? I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. She's like, isn't some opera better in Italian? I'm like, well, of course it is. She goes, yeah. Why isn't a book? Right? She's like, you don't want to hear this opera say in English. And she's like, I'm the same. But she could stay up for days reading, because that's just the capacity of her brain. So that's why the house was so full. Now, she had significant trauma, don't get me wrong. But I mean, it was really fascinating. And so 10 years of just helping people clean. The first 10 years of my career, I mean, yes, I was on TV a little bit at the end, but it was mainly just being in the trenches with people, learning and talking and really understanding them and appreciating them for who they are. It was really an amazing 10 years. And in living in Richmond, Virginia is where I lived at the time. That is a town where financially, you can take time to figure things out. You don't have to be rich. If I had done this in Atlanta or New York, I'd have run out of money real quick. But in Richmond, you could live on somebody's couches. And I mean, I didn't even have a truck. I just used my station wagon, and I would fill the station wagon in a ski rack. And I would think, I mean, it was very low key. I mean, now we're obviously a very big business, but like back in the day, it was awesome. It was just me and these old ladies. And I learned so much. It's the greatest experience. I'm a very lucky man to have done it. I mean, it's really fascinating.
You've really delved deep into a lot of lives, which, you can tell when you read your book, which I would highly recommend to our listeners. There's a link in the show notes. Keep the memories, lose the stuff. I want to ask you one of the pivotal questions, which I think many of us come up to, where we have something that's really precious to us, and we have a lot of things that are precious to us. How do you get someone to release, to let go of the stuff?
Okay, so here's this is what I've learned in 25 years. This is what I have learned. We hold on to the stuff because of the people and the stories attached to it. We don't actually care about the stuff. The stuff is wood or plastic or cotton. You don't care about the cotton. You care about the man that gave you that piece of whatever it is, right? I mean, like this ring right here. This is my dad's ring. I love this ring. Is it a valuable ring? Probably not, right? I wear it. My dad gave it to me the day that he died. The story is that this is a crazy story, but and we have friends that knew my dad, and that's how you and I met. And so, I love this. I love this ring. But my dad was in advertising, so we were rich and poor many times growing up. It was advertising in the 70s and 80s. I don't recommend it for anybody, but it was again, another journey. And when my dad died at 52, he was very, very young.
Wow, that's so young.
Yeah. Yeah, very young. But when he was in his 40s, my mom and him got divorced, and he was broke, and he was really trying to provide. And he somehow convinced Tiffany's, that Tiffany's in New York, to do their catalog. And my dad was just always broke, and that's one of the reasons he and my mom broke up. And because he was not good with money, but he was an entrepreneur, and of course I'm an entrepreneur, and so that's why I love this ring, because the day that he finished the catalog, he somehow pulled it off. He finally got a win. He's just got to get paid, and it's all done. And he's like, I really like this ring. How about we just trade? You don't have to pay me for the catalog. I'll just keep the ring.
You're kidding? Oh my gosh!
It's just
he's broke. Right? He did a giant catalog for Tiffany's, and he took the ring. Took
the ring.
Wow.
This ring. Right.
Wow.
And so I wear it every day. I wear it every day as an entrepreneur to remember, hey, always get paid for your work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? but anyone, when I tell people that story that knew my dad, they're just like, yep, that's typical Matt Paxton. Like, totally. Right? So I'm telling you guys stories. That's how you get the emotion out. All right.
Okay.
I'm telling you stories. I've already told you probably 3 or 4 great stories. That's what we do. That's what we're here to do. Right. That is how you let go of stuff. The name of my show is Legacy List. If you read my book, there's a whole chapter on how to create your legacy list. But a legacy list is a list of the top 5 items in your home that mean most things to you, right? And they tell your family story. They document your family's past. And what I found is if you create this legacy list, if you tell those 5 stories, you create the list and then you share the stories. The key is you must share the stories. So you got to have an audience. Somebody's going to listen. Can you do it on Zoom with family? Sure. Can you do it in person? I would recommend doing it in person over a bottle of wine. That is my recommendation, right? But I don't care how you do it, but have someone there to hear those stories. And when you share those stories, that's when the person starts to comes alive again, right? You just howled at a story about my dad. You never met my dad, right? But you sure know who he is now. You know about him.
Oh, I have an image of your dad right now in my mind.
And so you share that story, right? And that is how I tell people to separate the emotion. Most people think you should get away from the emotion. I'm saying go to it, man. Go to it, share the stories, tell the stories, celebrate the person. And what you find is, as you do that enough, you're able to let go of more stuff from that person because you've already celebrated them. They've already become an important part of the family. And so, like, I tell the story 4 or 5 times. I don't need to go through my dad's old National Geographic collection. I'm good. I've already celebrated that man. And so when I get into the attic, when I get into the garage, I get into the complicated spaces, if we've done it right, we're able to get rid of more stuff.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. That is so true. And what about people that are holding on to things that they have acquired that have no connection with a person?
Oh, yeah, sure. They say, well, this is nice. I like it because I paid a lot of money for it. Great.
Yes.
Tell me, put it on your legacy list. Is it in the top 5? Oh, no. It's not even my top 100, but it's expensive. I go, great. Let's sell it. And then a lot of times they'll take a picture and they're like, well, I mean, I don't know. And so a lot of us hold on to things. Maybe we need them. Maybe our kids will want them, which they don't, by the way.
They don't.
There's all these reasons. We'll talk about that. But there's a lot of justification going on. At the end of the day, you don't need anything. I mean, I'm a minimalist, and we have absolutely nothing. Like, I have 5 shirts, 2 pair of pants. My house, we are all minimalists on purpose. And it's the greatest thing I've ever done. I mean, I'm free. I am free of stuff. Nothing. I went to Vegas this weekend for work. I was in 3 cities, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was 3 different cities. Well, I literally laughed. I was like, man, I hope I don't lose my luggage because all my clothes are in this bag. When I go away for more than 5 days, I have all my clothes with me.
That's incredible.
It's
That's
awesome.
5 shirts, 2 pairs of pants.
Yeah. Now I have 7 kids, and not all my kids are as committed to this as we are. Specifically, the 17-year-old daughter. She does not live
I would think
to those rules. No, she's a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Right? But I will tell you, as I've gotten older and in my career, I'm so in depth in stuff. It's never about the stuff, right? It's always about the people. It's always about the stories. And so what you find is you don't really need anything. And so when people tell me that, it's worth something financially, I'm like, awesome. Let's see what that is mathematically. Let's let the math prove that out. And we try to sell it, right? And you might say, hey, my dad spent $200 on this. I go, great. The open market says it's worth $4. Like, you got 6 people and they stop bidding. I put everything on an auction because the auction will tell you what it's actually worth. Right? Something is only worth financially what an independent third party is willing to give you.
And I know our listeners are going to want to ask, what auction do you put it on?
I like EBTH, everything but the house. EBTH.com.
EBTH. I've never heard of that.
Everythingbutthehouse.com. They do a good job marketing it. They have millions of people. I mean, the key is you want as much eyes on an auction, right? How many people will look at it? And they do a really good job doing that. I actually do use Facebook Marketplace for furniture. Facebook Marketplace is a great place to move heavy, big equipment, big chairs, and couches, all the brown furniture in your living room that nobody, or the dining room that nobody wants. Sell it on Marketplace. Whatever you get, you get. Now let's chat about that. All right. Everyone says nobody wants your stuff. Yeah. In fact, I tried to name my book that, and the publisher wouldn't let me name it. Nobody wants your stuff. But what I have found out is
that's a great name.
Yeah, they didn't like it. They wanted it to be more positive. And I think they were right. Because it ended up being the title of the book, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff, is exactly what I do. But what I found is it's not that nobody wants your stuff. They don't want that stuff. They want something else. And so, like, the dining room is a very touchy place. And you have to look at the economics, really, of America to understand why our grandparents held on to that dining room. I mean, they came back, they went and fought in the war. They came back, they got a house on the GI Bill in the suburbs. And then Sears came in and said, hey, you got to sell these houses. You need you need a refrigerator. You need this. And so the economy of America is what created the suburbs, right?
Yeah.
And mortgages were created. I mean, I had literally, I was an economist, if you can't tell, from when I got out of college. And I studied economics. And it's really fascinating when you look at why the nation has what we have. It's because of Sears and Roebuck. It's because of the mortgages. It's because of the GI Bill. Like, that's what built the economy of America. In our homes, our families will create, our first foundation of family was created in that living room on Sunday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, so and then Thanksgivings and holidays, and it was created in that room. The world has changed. We now have those family moments at the lake house, at the ski resort, on the way to practice. Like, it's not that we don't have family connecting time. We have it at different places. And so you find that your kids, we don't care about China or the silverware as much as my mom did. Mm-hmm. But I don't love my family any less. I have better memories about other things.
Right. And we travel more, we're more mobile. There are fewer traditional Sunday dinners.
Yes. And it's really interesting. Millennials behave a lot like our grandparents did from the greatest generation. They want less things, higher quality items, and they reuse them.
Yeah, that is exactly right. There's a big market now for vintage.
Yeah. Oh my God. You ever want to, this is one of my favorite tips. I try not to do too many tips, but like, if you're having a hard time understanding what your kids want, specifically with women, take your granddaughters into your closet to go shopping. So don't start in the dining room, start in the closet. And man, I see it every time. I see it every house, right? Like, no, my granddaughter doesn't eat my stuff. I'm like, watch, let's go to the closet. They go to the closet. I'm like, Grandma, where did you get this fur? Oh. And then they start to share stories about, well, I wore this for, let me show you a picture. And they got a picture of her at the, Tantilla Gardens in 1943. And Grandma looks beautiful, right? She's wearing this fur. And now granddaughter's like, I want this fur, Grandma. This is amazing. Right? Or this, where did you get this mini skirt, Grandma? Like, how in the world did you wear that? Right? And picture of Grandma just looking hot, right? Like, just bring at dinner. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, Grandma, holy crap, that's not the Grandma I know. And then the stories start, right? And so that is the beauty of what we do here. Don't, I promise you, start for the men, find out if Grandpa did a sport or whatever, but get them talking about their real life. Right? Yeah. And show them items from it. All of a sudden, you're going to see these kids want that stuff. No, they don't want the brown furniture in the dining room because that doesn't mean anything to them. But man, they want your furs. They want your shoes. They want your jackets. They want your jewelry. They want the stuff that is modern to them because it's yours, actually, because they love you.
That is wonderful. That's really inspiring and I think encouraging for a lot of people here who think they don't want my stuff. So take your grandkids into your
upstairs
home and talk about it.
Let them pick something out. I mean, sometimes they just have a fashion show. I know it sounds silly. My kids are old enough now where, like, what I actually brought mine into my closet when I was trying to minimize what I was going to pick as my 5. I actually let my kids, I said, all right, well, let's do a fashion show. And they were like, they started laughing, right? And they're like, put that on. And I put it on. They were all laughing. They're like, that's so dumb. Or I couldn't even get it on. Right. And so, like, just the ability to either get it on, most of the stuff was just too small, to be really honest, or I looked ridiculous. And so that was a great way that I was able to trim down the closet because if my kids are laughing at me because I look ridiculous, well, there's your answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we really need to go any further? I mean,
no, we absolutely don't.
I'm younger, but like they were howling at my kids. Were just like, oh, come on, Dad, you're not wearing that out. We're not going to be with you if you wear that. And it's like, well, okay, well then I guess I can get rid of this. It is what it is. And it becomes a fun moment, a family building moment. And so I tell you, man, downsizing is one of the best opportunities to bond with your family because we do it when something bad has happened. We do it when someone's passed away or we're moving or something. We're not doing it because we have spare time and we want to get ahead of the game. We're doing it because life has happened.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it. So what I've really learned is, you can tell I love funny stories. I love to laugh. I love to have fun. And I take that into the job and I want people to experience that. And we do that. And I'm telling you, it's an amazing opportunity to really grow as a family, not suffer and not be depressed.
I love that. I hope everybody is listening to that this is a moment to grow as a family, to recapture memories, to pass them down, and to laugh and to have that history passed down and then let go of it.
We've done a legacy list item wherever, like when someone passes away, right? The family's cleaning the house. I say, everybody go find your favorite item. Right? Give me one item. If it's grandpa, everybody come give us your best grandpa story. And then before we start cleaning, everybody goes around the circle and shares the story about grandpa. And man, you will laugh, you will cry, you will just die, right? And then pretty much your legacy list is already written at that point.
Now,
and the dinner's about everybody doing it.
Yeah. Why 5 items as a legacy list?
I don't know. I just picked the number randomly. It could be more or less. I don't think 3 is enough. I think 10 is too many.
Yeah.
If you got 6 or 7, where there's no police on this. But the point is, so here's a tip, believe it or not. With seniors and with kids, you got to give a low number that you can achieve.
Yes.
And so you can't say, I can't say to my kids, go clean your room. That's too big. It's too vague. Right. Or I'll say to my clients, hey, you got to get rid of these books. Right? Books are really challenging because books are a part of who we are. It's how we learned. I mean, it took me a couple of years to realize, I would tell a woman to get rid of her books. And then it turns out you're the first woman to go to college in your family. And those books were really important to you because your grandma didn't even get to have books because she was working in the field. I had this one African-American family where she was like, oh, I didn't get to have a book until I was 15 because I had to work on the cotton farm. And she's like, we couldn't afford a book. And now I'm asking this lady to get rid of all our books. It's deeper than that, right? So the point is, when I use numbers, you have to say, hey, bring me 2 books I can donate. Or if I'm with kids, bring me 2 items I can donate. And so it's small and it's achievable and you can see it and you can do it and it's tangible. And so that's why I put numbers out there. But I always try to keep them really small and really, really doable. Because a lot of times at the beginning, we just need to prove to ourselves that we can do it. It's not that we don't want to. We're stuck because we don't know where to start. And so a lot of times it's more about just understanding that you can do it. And you prove to yourself over and over. That's why I talk about the 10-minute sweep. If you read the book, you'll see it in there. I actually want you to start 10 minutes a night. That's it. I'm not looking at, don't go in there and try to clean it in a whole day. That's not realistic. It took us sometimes 30 to 50 years to fill a house. You're not going to clean it on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes.
And that's where most families try to think, we'll take Thursday off, we'll clean on Friday and Saturday, and then we'll drive home on Sunday. No, man, not if you're going to do it right? And not if you're going to share the stories. And so I really tell people to just 10 minutes a night for the first month. And it's more about proving to yourself that you can versus actually what you actually achieve.
Well, and I think it's important to have that sense of accomplishment because it's so massive when any of our listeners look at their houses and they say, okay, I've got a 4-bedroom house with an attic and a garage and every room is stuffed. And so many people I know look at that and then say,
and we quit.
Well, I can't choose to move because it's exhausting to move, to think about downsizing my house.
I cannot tell you how many of my clients miss out on a better life because they're stuck at home. And I'm telling you, this little legacy list tool, you're going to fall in love with it. All right. And it's going to be something that brings joy to your family. Start with that. Start with 10 minutes every night. Just clean a little corner, do a half of a drawer, half of a bookshelf, go through one sleeve of pictures, whatever, man. But just do it for 10 minutes. I would say start it when Final Jeopardy, when they go to break for Final Jeopardy at 7:50, work it all the way to the end. And when you hear that, you're almost done, right? And it sounds silly, but just do 10 minutes a night. And I promise you, you will. And then eventually you'll take it to 25, 30 minutes. But the first couple of weeks, do it 10 minutes and do it 4 or 5 nights a week. That's it. It shouldn't be your job. It should be something you do on the side. You did not work this hard for this long to go through old Christmas cards, right? You should be
absolutely not.
You should be out enjoying life.
And it does make you feel lighter Doesn't it? When
Absolutely.
you have a less of stuff, it makes you feel.
It's tangible. It's tangible. The just not doing it weighs you down, right? And every time you quit something, the pile of quit piles up, right? And the pile of quit is as big as the actual pile of stuff. Sometimes the pile of quit is bigger. And that pile of quit weighs on you just as much. And I'm telling you, that's what, just get started, man. 10, 15 minutes, like just do that each day. And I promise you, you'll start to feel the relief. You'll start to feel the stress go away. And it's very tangible. When you finish a room, oh my God, it's the greatest thing in the world. And that's why I actually encourage people to go room by room. Don't do like 10% of each room. You'll never see a difference.
Right.
Pick the easiest room, man. Bathroom.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. What do you suggest the easiest room? You don't suggest the attic or the garage? Or...
Nope. Bathroom. It's very unemotional, usually. If it is, you need to go to therapy. Okay. Don't worry about cleaning. We're going to prioritize a lot of things. But in the bathroom, usually half the stuff is below 10% in volume, and you can get rid of it. And so I was just get rid of anything that has less than 10% in it, get rid of it, right? If you're saving stuff for your adult children that actually have kids now, you can get rid of it, all right? Like always oh, that's my son's medicine for his poison ivy. Great, how old's your son? Well, he's 43. It's like, we could probably get rid of that poison ivy medicine.
Let's just toss that.
Yeah, so old Dracar Noir cologne from when your kid was 16. I mean, we're laughing because we all have
Axe body spray.
Axe body spray, right? Dude, you're 73. You don't need Axe body spray. Come on, and if you use humor, like the bathroom is a great place to start. Okay. And that way you get the accomplishment. You get the issue. Or like it's the holiday towels that we're not allowed, so the holiday soap that we're not allowed to use.
Yes.
Right? Yes. There's dust on it. Like, get rid of that crap, man. We don't need it, right? But like, if you get real about that and you use those things, you're going to find out that you're going to see the volume go down. And it's going to, because you're starting with stuff that doesn't matter. Do you start in your husband's closet a year after he died? No. That's the most highly emotional closet, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to avoid that, right? We're going to put that to the end. We're going to get our muscles stronger. We're going to get our calluses stronger. Like we're going to wait for the heavy stuff. I think bathroom, the downstairs closet, the guest room closet is a great one because it's basically just pictures and wrapping paper. The junk drawer in the kitchen, it's rubber bands, pennies, pens that don't write, and rubber bands, Bed Bath and Beyond coupons that are expired.
That are expired.
The big
huge ones. Yeah.
There's 20% off. Yeah, we all have.
Hold on to this.
Yeah. By the way, they're out of business. They are bankrupt. Just so you know, they actually don't exist anymore. So those coupons are not only expired, the store does not exist yet. They're in every house that I go into.
Oh, you're kidding! People still hold on to the coupons.
Oh yeah, every house I go to. I guarantee you, everyone that's listening now is like, yes, I actually have that coupon in my closet. I mean, I've been doing this 25 years. I know what's in your house. The batteries in that drawer are also the marbles. Why is there a marble in that drawer? No one in listening has played marbles in 15 years, but for some reason we all have a marble drawer in our kitchen. Like it's the craziest thing in the world. When's the last time you played marbles?
Oh gosh, when my nieces and nephews were little, they used to play marbles all the time. Not anymore.
But yet I find one in every house, man. It's crazy.
Now, if you start this practice of downsizing, I would think that also affects your desire to purchase more things.
Yeah, you get overweight. It's kind of like dieting, right? You're like, once you really start to work, you're like, God, I don't want to get more. I'm not going to buy more ice cream because I want to be healthy. Yeah. When you see how much money you've spent on stuff and you see how much you're giving away, donating or throwing away or selling. By the way, I'm a big believer in donation is really the strongest tool. At this point in our life, donation is going to give you the most gratitude and the most happiness over selling. So giving away and donating is by far the strongest tool you can have, along with humor. Right? Those are the two most important tools, humor and donation in downsizing.
If you're getting smarter, let us know. Leave us a review, a rating, wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell your friends and follow us on social. We're at Seniority Authority on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And don't forget, if you're listening to YouTube, hit the notification bell so you can subscribe. Or subscribe to our newsletter at seniorityauthority.org so you don't miss a thing. So let's talk about, I think a lot of people listening think, I have this set of china, or I have this Waterford crystal, and this is worth a lot of money.
It's not. Yeah. Okay. So on China, you can go on a website called replacements.com. It's a store that sells all of the china, and they have everything. Yours is there, I promise. And you'll see that it's worth like $20, not per set, not per plate, for the whole thing.
Oh,
right?
The
Your
whole
china isn't worth anything. The whole thing, because it doesn't matter what you pay. It doesn't matter what you pay for it, right? Anything in your house, you should expect 10% of what you think it's worth. That's what you'll get in the open market on the average stuff. So if you think it's worth $100, it's probably worth 10.
Okay, I want everyone to listen to this. 10% of what you think it's worth is probably what you'll get. So don't hold on to it because you think you're going to get a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, let's take it even further. Your time is worth more than that 10%. So I want you to look at, if it's 10% of what you think it's worth, great. Now, how long is it going to take you to do it? Right? And then I want you to ask, how much is your time worth? Okay. This happened today to me, like literally right before I came on this. I have an old, really cool old medical bed that I got when I got divorced. It was one of those like really nice beds that raises the feet and raises the back. And then I got married and I brought it here to put in our guest house for my in-laws, because it's kind of like a medical bed, but it's just a really nice, comfortable bed. And my in-laws live in this house behind us. They have like a guest house. And they want an actual proper medical bed in there now because of surgery. And so they need to move that bed. And so I got hit with okay, do I go literally today? Like, do I sell this bed? Now I spent, I don't want to tell you, it's about $3,000. I spent $3,000 on this bed. A real number.
Yeah.
Could I sell it for $300? Probably not. I'd probably have to list it on Facebook Marketplace for $100. And then I got to hire a mover. So basically I'm going to break even, right? If I even sold it for $300, I still got to move it. That's going to cost me like $200. So around $100. And then a buddy of mine was like, hey, I'll come take it for free if you give it to this guy at my church. He needs it, but he doesn't have any money. And I was like, done.
Oh, that's...
I go, done. Saturday, got to be gone on Saturday. He's like, okay. And I'm like, my time is worth more than $100. And the thought of helping someone that needs it, that's better than any number.
That's gold.
I cannot stress how important. I mean, and it was a 5-second conversation, right? I was like, we're good, moving on. Okay, good. So I was able to clear that from my memory. And that's something that is already weighing on me. Like, what am I going to do with this? I know the bed's getting delivered this weekend. I got to handle it. I got to manage it. I don't have time. My time is more valuable. And so I want people to think about what it's actually worth financially, and then really focus on what your time is worth. And I'll use my 12-year-old son's quote here. He said the other day, he said, Dad, does it bother you that you have more time behind you than you have ahead of you?
Wow. That's a very deep question.
Very deep question. And I said, what do you mean, buddy? He goes, well, you're almost 50. My grandmother died at 96 earlier this year, so that's why this came up.
Oh, okay.
And he goes, you think you're going to live to 100? I said, God, I hope not, man. I go, I'd like to be like 85. Like, that'd be awesome. I was like, I don't need 100. But he goes, so does it bother you that you have more years behind you than you do ahead of you? And I'm like, well, it does now, right? But like, I've taken that into my cleaning. Like, okay, I only have I'm 49 and I only got so much years ahead of me.
Yeah.
And how many good years do I have? Hopefully 30, probably 25, like physically. Hopefully, like I'd be blessed if I have 30 good years, right?
Yeah.
Do I really want to spend it cleaning out my attic?
No, you don't.
God, no.
You don't want to spend that.
I want to go to Vegas with my wife and like get in trouble and have fun. Like, that's why I work so hard. Like, let's go live. So yeah, I'm now just giving everything away. It's like, it ain't worth it. It's just stuff, man. My time is so much more valuable. And if someone can benefit from my financial ineptitude, because I didn't, great.
I don't think it's financial ineptitude. I think
I couldn't think of a word. Yeah.
It's the time value of money. You either spend your time and you're not going to get the money back necessarily.
No, I can tell you your house is $8,500. After the kids take what they want, right? Everything in your house you spent your entire life. This is a number that I will verify over. I have so much stats behind this because I cleaned thousands of houses. And after your kids take the good stuff and you take what you want to the next place you're going to live, everything left in that house sells for $8,500.
Wow.
Almost every time. $8,500.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, are there places that you recommend for donations. I think that's what a lot of people struggle with is who's going to take this, who's going to, other than kind of the typical.
So I work for the typical. I am Goodwill's spokesperson. That being said, myself and Goodwill would tell you, you find a place that you match with the morals of that place, whatever it is. You have an ethical match to that place. What we want is for you to find a place that you truly believe in and you really love what they're doing. Because if you donate to them, you're going to donate more because you care about their mission. So match to whatever mission you is. If it's a certain lifestyle, great. I actually work with Out of the Closet quite a bit. That's a great new organization. It's a gay lesbian. Yeah, it's called Out of the Closet. Phenomenal brand name.
It's a great brand name.
It's an unbelievable brand name. As a marketer, I'm like, that's amazing. And that's when they caught my eye. And now they give a lot of their money goes to gay, lesbian, and transgender kids and adults that are having homeless issues. Because you understand, think about it, the people that are now in their 80s that came out, they were not supported by their family. So they don't have the family infrastructure that a kid now, if one of my kids came out of the closet, it'd be like, so what? Who cares? We don't, whatever. It's not even in the top 10. It doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah.
But the people that are 75 to 80 now, their lives were destroyed because they came out. Right. And they don't have the family foundation and structure. So like this group gives a lot of things to that group. And for me, that's a foundation that I want to get behind and support. If you don't, that's fine. Go find something that works for you. I don't care. I want to find whatever you care about. If it's immigration groups, go to Catholic Charities, right? If you don't care, Goodwill is the easiest, I'm going to be honest.
Goodwill will
accept more than anyone else will, yeah. And so it is less work. But we want you to find something that you like the mission, because then you'll do it over and over and over. And I promise you, the more you give to the mission, the more happier you'll get. And then your house gets empty pretty quick.
And that's such a great goal, because we are slaves to our stuff, which I think a lot of people don't realize. But we are slaves to our stuff.
Dude, so we're minimalists. We live in a very small house. 2,400 square foot house for 9 people. Right? We have 7 kids.
That's a lot.
9 of us.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
And honestly, I love it. Like I was in a hotel room the other day that was like too big, and I'm like, it was a suite. Unless I was doing a trade show, and it was in this big suite. And I'm like, this is bigger than my living space at home. This is really awkward. Like you get used to having less, and you'll find that with less stuff to take care of, you have a lot more time to live. And so I love it. I'm living, man. I'm not spending my time picking up toys or doing yard work. I actually converted my grass we converted it to like plants and rocks. And so I don't even cut grass anymore. It's awesome.
What do you think holds people back from believing this and living this?
I think fear of losing. The studies I've done is people are afraid that they're going to be forgotten. They're afraid that their parents are going to be forgotten. That's the only reason I put so much effort into the legacy list. Like, I think about it. My kids have never met any of the men that raised me because they all died when I was in my 20s. And so I have, like, my grandparents were cowboys in Colorado, and I'm now telling my Korean-born stepkids about these cowboy relatives that I had, right? Wow. And it's like they're watching a Western. They can't believe it. I used to sit there and watch my grandpa. But my grandpa's stories would never disappear because I tell the stories. And so I think that's one thing why I focus so much on legacy lists. Like, you won't be forgotten. You won't be forgotten. Your parents won't be forgotten, right? If you share the stories. And that's what we hold on to this. We make our houses museums of dead people. And that's crazy. That's actually crazy.
Because they never intended that.
Yeah, no. They want you to live. My God, my grandfather would be furious that I paid $100 for a phone. My grandfather would be devastated that I did that, right?
Yeah.
And then yet so I spent $150 on storage to put my dead grandfather's stuff in there, right? My grandfather was a penny pincher. He would be furious that I'm paying $150 a month for storage for a dead guy's stuff, right? Whatever you have, it should live in your home. And it should be out so that you can tell the stories, because that's how people stay with us. That's how their memories stay alive, is by we telling the stories. So I challenge people, man, get rid of the china, turn that china cabinet in your dining room into a trophy case. Make that china cabinet your legacy list case.
Oh, I love that.
Put all your legacy list items in there and tell the stories.
I love that.
Anytime someone comes to your house, tell them about one of the items, because you're going to be telling about someone that you loved. And that is how we live on. And I think that's the reason we hold on to stuff. We don't want to be forgotten. We want to have value. We want to have self-worth. And we want to live on forever. And if you tell the stories, you do. But most of our houses are filled with a bunch of stuff that we don't even know the stories to.
That's so powerful. That's really, so I'm going to challenge our listeners to start doing the sweep 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes, yep.
Create a legacy list of the people that you love, those 5 items that have a story attached to them. Tell the stories. And if you're not sure still how to do it, buy the book and read, because Matt has done this everywhere. Hoarders, challenging families, challenging situations. There's nothing he hasn't done. This is going to open up your life.
It will change your life for the positive. And isn't that what we all need right now? Right? I mean, we want positive. We're all just begging for it. And I'm telling you, it's in your house. It's in there right now. The people you love, the reason it's in your house is because you love the people so much. So tell the stories. And if you do that, man, house comes alive.
You don't need the things. You just need the stories.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
I feel like I have to tell one more story.
Oh, yes.
It's valuable to this. I might have told you that you and she and I had coffee at a conference, and we randomly met. I don't know if I told the story or not, but your audience will love the story. We have this thing called Hot Grandma in our business, where you find a picture of Grandma and she's really good looking, right? And I mentioned it earlier. While you hold on to that picture from when Grandma's having a hard time, right? You don't want to bring that out when Grandma's laughing every time. But when Grandma's having a hard time, she's crying, she's going through some memories. You bring out the picture, you say, who's this? You're like, oh, that's me. You say, oh my God, you don't say. You're so beautiful. And it's this silly little dance, right? We do it every time. But my crew, they know it is Hot Grandma, and you have to because every grandma was smoking hot at some point, right? And so you have to bring that picture out. Well, this happened one special time, and then she was having a hard time, and it was me, the granddaughter, who was like in her 20s, adult mom in her 50s, and then grandma. Grandma's like 80 something. She had a rough go, and I looked at my buddy, and I was like, it's Hot Grandma. I go, HG, man, HG. He's like, I know. So he brings this picture in, and she's looking hot. I'm not gonna lie, Linus was looking really pretty, and she goes, I go, who's this? She's like, that's me. And we're like, oh my God. And when she starts to tell us the story, she's got a really short skirt on, and we're like, is she smoking a cigarette? And then the granddaughter goes, who's that? That's not Grandpa. And not Grandpa. Not Grandpa's the key here, right? And she goes, oh, that's my lover, Armando. And we're like, Armando?
Armando?
Like, roll it back. We got to know more. And she's like, there's nothing. She goes to the next picture. We're like, coming back. We want to know about Armando. And her granddaughter's mouse on the floor. And she's like, that's Armando. I met him the summer before I met your grandfather. She goes, he was a Spanish history professor. She goes, I was a art history professor at MIT. And she goes, and he was the Spanish professor. She goes, we had a torrid love affair that summer. And she goes, it was wonderful. He was so handsome. She goes, Armando was just beautiful. She goes, in the next summer, I met your grandfather. And we're all just like, holy cow. And then the granddaughter goes, you were a professor at MIT? She goes, I thought you just went there. And she goes, no, I was the first female adjunct professor at MIT.
Oh my gosh.
Hot Grandma is how we found out that Grandma's a badass.
Oh my gosh.
You got to tell the story.
Skipped over the fact that she was the first adjunct female professor at MIT.
Didn't even come up because Grandma doesn't do that. No, everyone thinks Grandma just sits in the corner holding her purse, right? Dude, everybody is spectacular. Everybody's amazing. You got to tell the stories because the details is what goes on for generations, right? So even though we'll picture a Hot Grandma and Armando, you find out more and more and more. Right? And I love that story. That's why I had to tell it because I just love that story. For your audience. Yeah.
This is really a good idea because as you age, and my parents are 90, they can get depressed at who they are now and what they are limited to doing. Yeah. So bringing out a picture of Hot Grandma and saying, who is this? And for her to say, that is me.
That is me. That was me. That was me.
That is me.
Yes.
I am still in there. Hot Grandma is still inside me.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
I love that. I love that as a way to have a conversation.
I got the best job in the world, man. These are the stories I get to hear every day.
That is phenomenal. So use that, listeners. I'm going to use that with my mom right now. I'm going to go back and get some pictures and have her tell those stories because even some people with dementia can have longer term memories. Their long-term memories are a little better than their shorter term memories. So you can still recapture those moments. I think
Tell us who your hashtag Armando. Tell us who your Armando was.
Hashtag Armando. I love that. Hashtag Armando. Hot grandma. I love that. That is great. You've been so fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. I have 5 quick, fast 5 questions I ask. So tell us what your favorite guilty pleasure is.
Oh, ice cream.
No, it's not shopping.
No, ice cream.
Okay.
Absolutely, ice cream.
Okay. Besides downsizing and living with 5 shirts and 2 pants, what's your favorite healthy practice?
Oh, 5 miles a day. I walk 5 miles every morning.
Wonderful. So by yourself with a podcast?
Or friends. Yeah.
Friends.
Sometimes podcasts. I try to just get into nature. I actually look for deer. I try to really just get out there for a few minutes and just chill. I love it. Sometimes I take a call, but usually I try to just chill.
That's really, really smart. What's guaranteed to make you laugh, Matt?
Oh, my sons. My sons are hilarious. You think I'm funny. My kids are hilarious.
And the last book that you loved?
Oh, gosh. Well, my book, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff, obviously.
Yes.
And then I'll plug my wife's book here.
Oh.
Minimalism for Families. Yes, Minimalism for Families.
Oh, I love that. Minimalism for Families. Yeah. Okay.
I literally, the time I met my wife, I read this book.
You're
and
kidding.
It changed my life. I reached out to her to thank her for writing the book, and now we got 7 kids. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. All right.
That's a whole nother podcast. That's a whole nother
whole nother podcast. And beware of reading that book because then you may get 7 kids.
Yeah, wear it with rubber gloves, but it's a great book.
So she was a minimalist as well.
Yeah, she's a hardcore minimalist, pretty well known in the minimalism world, and that's how we met, and it changed my life for the better.
Okay. All right, Minimalist for Families. And your favorite escape?
Paddleboarding. I love it. Paddleboarding. Stand-up paddleboarding. I love it. Do it with my boys all summer, man. I love it, and it is my favorite thing in the world.
I've only done lake paddleboarding, which is a lot easier than river paddleboarding.
River's the best. You don't even paddle. You just stand there. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You just stand there and watch the world go by. I love it. I also love trains, man. I love riding trains. Take the train when you can take the train. That's another piece of advice. You just sit there and look. Especially if you live on the East Coast, Mir, never fly. Always take the train to New York. I love it. It's the best thing in the world.
Doing that next month. So for the first time, and it's going to be better than driving. That's for sure.
There's nothing better than taking a train into New York City, man. It's the coolest thing in the world. You come at it. You come from chilling out, seeing the world, and then boom, you're in the city. It's amazing.
Well, that is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom, all of your tips, the hot grandma, hashtag Armando.
Everybody's got one. Let's hear the stories.
All right. Thank you for listening. That's our show for today. Thank you so much to Matt. If it helped you think differently, go to the Seniority Authority page on your podcasting app and hit the plus, heart, sign, favorite, or subscribe so you don't miss out. Until then, enjoy the chance to get smarter about growing older. That's our show for today. If you liked it, please tell your friends so we can reach more minds and keep the conversation going. Or follow us on social at Seniority Authority. I'm Kathleen Toomey. Until next time, enjoy your chance to get smarter about growing older.